Back to another lesson of the Logos and Letters. My name is Liam. Just a quick lesson here, just to tie all this up. So I've cleaned up this a little bit. We just need to focus here. So chapter 5. Hoyon epithesias, right? Why is he bringing this stuff up? Substance. What can it do, right? A substance can emit of contraries at different times, right? So tanantia epitekesta, it can receive, take up these contraries at different times, but not at the same time. So this mouse can be healthy, right? Hugainai, hugianai, or nosai. It can be ill. So one or the other at different times, not at the same time. And the substance allows that to happen without changing the substance itself. Okay, we learned this in chapter 5. Same things with white or black. Okay, so it's either one or the other. Right, the sails are white. Okay, you think of a crow or a currawong or a magpie or a zebra. The feather, the fur is either white or black. Okay, you don't have a white-black feather. Even if you mix the two, it becomes something different, like grey or sallow. You know, so contraries happen at different times, not at the same time. And that is why we can test it against things like large and small, and realize that these are not true contraries, but they're just conceptually opposed. Okay, they're conceptually opposed because they can theoretically happen at the same time in a particular substance. We can say a substance is small compared to this and large compared to that. But that is just some movement of the intellect that we're doing, some reasoning that we're doing. And these are just, you know, it's just a way of understanding the quantity of something in a different way in reference to something else. All right, but it's not actually the case that the smallness or the bigness are competing for the same space inside that substance. Same with strength and weakness. You can be strong compared to a child, or weak compared to an athlete that is meant to be strong, you know, so on and so forth. They're not competing for the space in the same way that true contraries are. Okay, so what are we driving at here? We're driving at the fact that our everyday language makes things seem contrary to one another, but really all we're noticing is that they're just at different ends of the spectrum. Okay, so let's continue on with what he says. So I think we're about up to here. Iga resti to megatoi mikroi enantion. So if toda auto estin hama mega kai micron, and something it was at the same time large and small, auto hutoi ae an enantion. So one could then say it is contrary to itself if it were contraries, but that's not the case. All right, because as we know, contraries compete for space. You either are white or black, or you are healthy or sick. Okay, so your feather is either white or black. The zebra either has white or black fur. The man is healthy or sick, so on and so forth. And obviously, weak and strong don't fit that the same way. Todo auto esti, yep. Here, alla ton adjunaton estin auto hutoi ainaiti enantion. But of these things, it's impossible that it should be that the same thing should be a contrary, enantion, right? Ukestin hara to mega toi mikroi enantion. So here he's drawing the conclusion. So they shouldn't be said to be contraries. Ude to polu, right? Nor the many to the few, toi oligoi. Hostei kai me ton prosti tauta dis erai ala tuposu. So they are a form of relation, okay, regarding quantities, okay? They're not contraries. So he's defining, he's splitting, he's making everything seem quite clear. You know, we used the example of someone living long or short. This man could be tall or long or briefly. This man could be tall or short compared to different men. And so on and so forth. I don't want to drag this point out too much, but when it comes down to it, we consider quantities as just quantities. We consider qualities and relations, okay, prosti and boyon, right, as different categories. So really, what we've come to the conclusion of is that there are four things that often go hand in hand with one another all the time. Substance, such as primary and secondary. We have relations, qualities, and quantities. They go hand in hand, okay, all the time. And what we're doing here is we're finding where one thing begins and where one thing ends. We're learning how to speak about them, of course, and their different rules, and we'll come to quality and relation eventually. But for now, just learning to speak clearly about these things, think clearly about these things, and distinguish between them. So that's what this lesson's all about. Doesn't need to be too long. I think we've made the points abundantly clear if you consider all the last four lessons. And there's a lot we could apply this to. There are countless stories in the Bible and narratives in the Bible that where this can come into play. Every time, essentially, where a number is mentioned, we could use this stuff. Every time where qualities and relations are mentioned, we can use this stuff, and we will. We will certainly apply these things. Some lessons are just to learn the theory, and then some lessons will be to apply the practical stuff. These early lessons that you're listening to right now are the theory side. The practical stuff, I have to be patient, and I will get to eventually, and we can have a cracking old time applying all this stuff that we learn to important texts, not just the Bible, of course, but other really important texts as well. I'm sure we can look at Plato and other texts by Aristotle and apply them, so on and so forth. So let's leave that there. I think a ribbon has been tied on that. Thinking about as well just the idea of at the same time. Okay, that really does matter. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I hope this has been interesting or useful. And as always, semper fortis in opere. My name is Liam, and I'll see you next time.